Hello, today I'm going to read you a section out of Rugby Academy, and this book, Rugby Academy, is made up of 3 separate books which were published previously on their own. Combat Zone, which is about a boy called Woody, Surface to Air, which is about a boy called Rory, and Deadlocked, which is about a rugby player called Owen. And together they make up the story of 3 boys who are in a rugby team, a school rugby team. And what's notable about them is that a lot of their mums and dads are in the RAF. So it's about being a rugby player, but it's also about being in a forces family. And when I wrote this, it was really important to me to get it right. So I spent a lot of time at RAF Cosford on the base and at the local school as well, making sure I was getting my facts right. So I'm going to read you the first chapter of the first book. The silver BMW made a sharp swerve left to avoid a deer that was stood frozen in its headlights. Woody held his breath. A part of him wished the car had come off the road, but only so that the journey would stop. He didn't have a death wish or anything like that. But the car didn't come off the road. Woody watched his dad's arms tense as he controlled the car with perfect skill. That was how Woody's dad always drove. It was part of who he was. A man who liked to travel at speed, a fighter pilot in the RAF. Woody stared out the car window. Its headlights lit up the forest on either side of the road. Thick tree trunks flashed by. I don't want to do this, Woody said. I like my old school. I like my friends. I was just about to start my GCSEs. His dad didn't take his eyes off the road. Borderlands is a great school, he said. It was my school. You'll make new friends. Play lots of sport. The wrong sport, Woody snapped. His dad paused before he spoke again. Woody knew he was working out what to say so that he could win the argument. Rugby is a wonderful game, his dad said at last. I learn more from rugby than you'll ever learn playing soccer. And that school runs a serious rugby academy now. It's called football, Woody said. And I like football. I'm good at football, you know I am. Woody's dad was silent again. They were out of the forest now. The BMW was speeding up on a winding slope onto a moor. Woody thought about the letter he'd received a month before from Norwich City. They'd offered him a place at their football academy. That was the reason his dad was driving him to Borderlands, to stop him being a footballer. Woody even had to hide his football in his bag so his dad didn't know he'd taken it with him. There's more to life than sport, his dad went on. You'll get a better education at Borderlands. It's a fine school, one of the best. Woody didn't reply. He wanted to swear at his dad like his dad swore when he was angry. But Woody kept his anger locked deep inside himself. It was times like these that he wished his mum was still around. She always knew how to break the tension. But she was in Australia, remarried with 2 new daughters. Woody had made his choice to stay in England with his dad. After a few minutes of tense silence, Woody's dad switched on the car radio. The news headlines filled the car. Floods in Cornwall and Devon. The Man United manager had been sacked. Then back to the main story. There have been further scenes of violent conflict in the Central Asian Republic, the reporter on the news said. The Prime Minister is on his way to New York to speak at the United Nations. Before he left, he said, "We must take this situation very seriously. It threatens the peace of the whole Middle East. We must do what we can for the people of the Central Asian Republic. Experts predict that the UK will be at war within 24 hours. Woody saw his dad's hands tighten their grip on the steering wheel. And that's the first chapter. So these boys, these 3, have to play in rugby tournaments and be at school while their mums and dads are away fighting in a war and trying to stabilise a country in the Middle East. And this is kind of the story. They're called things like Combat Zone because not only is a rugby field an area of combat, but also in a much bigger way is a battlefield in a war. Anyway, I hope you enjoy reading it and thank you for listening.